you. I don't know the reason. So I continue with the area of production, what we discussed, and from the beginning, just to summarize what I discussed last 2 weeks, basically the last week. So before that, again, if someone has difficulties, these are the textbook you can use, and also most probably end of this production, I may give a midterm test from this production. So because I realized that the last year also giving one assignment, some of having the difficulties. So I decide maybe give a very simple and one unit test, most probably multiple choice question. We will decide at the end of the this lesson area production. The most important thing is what we discussed, learn the theory of production and the whole economy also. Economic product efficiency. So achieving the economic efficiency is the important thing. So when you look at the economic efficiency, there are two sides of the economic efficiency. One is the technical efficiency, the other one is the allocative efficiency. So the most important, achieving one doesn't mean that the producer achieve the economic efficiency. As a producer, like if try to achieve the allocative efficiency, it's only the part of the total economic efficiency. 2 weeks ago, we discussed those things. And the other part is the technical efficiency directly related to the output and input. The allocative efficiency mainly linked to the cost side. As a producer, individual producer, they may not understand or not thinking of this kind of economic efficiency concept and or theoretically technical or allocative efficiency achievement, but they do to achieve the cost minimization or output maximization strategy they use. The point is producers when achieve this cost minimization or output maximization strategy and doing achieving those, they automatically reach the economic efficiency. That's the connection, that's the point what we tried to develop last 2 weeks. And also discuss the inefficiency and again how to improve the efficiency to the technology and the growth. Also we discussed last 2 weeks. So this table also I show you, and it's inside the amount of production, really efficient amount of production given inputs. You can see some of the points like 64 using different combination of technology, different combination of inputs you can produce. Likewise, the 52 also. 52 also. All the points are 52, 64, all the value inside here technically efficient. Like I mentioned, the two type of efficiency, technical and allocative efficiency. These values are technically efficient of production. 64, for example, using the combination of 7 and 2 labor, or 6 capital and 3 labor, or 3 capital and 6 labor, whatever the combination used as a producer, their producers are technically efficient. So, like I draw last time and so the production function, they are at this point not about inefficiency. Then the questions rise, which 64 we go for, using what the combination of input. For that, we have to fix here allocative efficiency. With that, you get the total the economic efficiency. So to allocative efficiency, we have to look at the cost side. So based on that, we can decide. Also, we discussed the producers take the decision short run and the long run. And the short run situation, short run, we discussed. It depends on the industry time period. And the important thing is to understand here there's examining purpose also. A short run, the producers make the decision that depend on the factor productivity. So producers looking at the factor productivity and they are decide the short run amount of labor or whatever the other factors employed. When you come to long run, that about the change the size of the firm, entire size of the firm, all the inputs are varied, not there is no fixed input. So there we looking at the theory return to scale, So about the change of the scale, there are three type of return to scale. Usually happen initial increase in return to scale. Then come to the constant return to scale and decrease in return to scale. Decrease in return to scale. Those stages are the long run, like the short run 3 stages, long run also 3 stages. And we can look at these stages side also. When you look at the production side, we call and apply theory return to scale. If someone looking at the cost side and analyze, then the name use the economic scale. The economic scale. For that, use the cost curve, especially the long run cost curve, to understand the economic scale. Side the negative slope, side of the long run cost curve, long run average cost curve, the economic scale, then the positive slope of the diseconomic scale. So decrease in return to scale. Decrease in return to scale. The constant return to scale coming the flat point in the minimum point. Side we call the negative side the economic scale, and the positive side diseconomic scale. This is the minimum point what we call minimum efficiency scale. Now link with this cost side and the production side. If I quickly look at using whiteboard, that's maybe the interesting to look at. The cost side, I draw a long run cost curve. And again, the output side, if I draw here, the cost curve, the long run cost curves goes like this. The economic scale, then the minimum, and the diseconomic scale. Average, long run cost curve. Up to this point, the economic scale, they are reached to minimum efficiency scale, then come to this economic scale. In the production side also, if you look at the average production curve, it's like a mirror of this here, reflection coming like this, average production curve. So there, the initially increasing return to scale, then come to the constant return to scale here, then start to decrease in return to scale. So you can see I will show later on this link, the relationship between cost curves and the average product curves later on. But this, you can see here the reflection. Yeah. So that is about the long run. And when you look at the short run situation, we explain, given fixed input, in this case capital, change in labor, the input, this direction the producers move 24, 39, 52, 60, 67, like that moving. So all these values, even the short run and the long run doesn't matter. Those values are technically efficient. Technically efficient. So then the problem now, how to decide how many number of labors recruit. For that, of course, we have to look at the allocative efficiency side, and they are decide the allocative efficiency side. It doesn't mean that we get in the 85, the maximum, and the one with number of labor decide. Last time we discussed the three stages short run, and we can see here. And when you come to the long run, it's about the change in both inputs. So, for instance, the producers move this direction for 18, 41, 60, 75, 90, 119, and 20. That's the same thing. Like the long run, both input change, no fixed input. All those values, even not only this red line, the other values are technically efficient. Technically efficient. So then you have to decide to get the economic efficiency, inject the allocative efficiency, best combination, best size of the firm. So in that way, maybe end up with the producing 90 or maybe some other number. It's not necessary go 120. It depends on the allocative efficiency. And those are the things mainly we discussed. And the short run, and last time as we discussed, producers take decisions when is the law of diminishing marginal return apply. Law of diminishing marginal return apply. For example, if you take the marginal production curve, this point, the maximum point here, start the diminishing marginal return. So the producers in that take the decision, this law of diminishing marginal return apply, which means in this area, production. So, but the only boundary, for example, not here. The second stage, what we discussed last time, producers take the decision and understand, to justify the second stage. Also, we use the two methods. One is the elasticity, and so the elasticity and how to look at, we did last time. Now here with this exercise also we did, there we the graph, and there you identify the diminishing return start, and it's easy to understand with this curve, because the marginal product curve we come to the maximum point, there I start the diminishing marginal return. So that's why here the second stage is coming to the law of diminishing marginal return. When you come to third stage, if the marginal product is negative, so now producer take the decision, and we saw last time that discussion. So the diminishing return set here and go around. Right. One of the other important things is this relationship between these curves. Last time I discussed all the relationship, marginal product, average product, and the other relationship. And when the average product comes to the maximum point, it's the marginal product cross here. And the marginal product comes to 0 point, total product comes to maximum point. and those things we discussed last time. And this is the stages. This shows the stages different, and this is the one I discussed last time in lengthy. You can see 3 stages. Even though if you look at the practically, the last stage, the marginal product is negative, which means if you put additional input, result you get the negative, which means the total output decrease. So in that way, there no rational producer producing that third stage, except you can see in the public sector in Sri Lanka, you can see kind of situation, especially around 1950, 1960. We saw especially Hambantota and the Kurunagala districts and even the divisional secretaries graduated, recruited, and even the no enough space, office space to stay there. I saw most of them, even the daytime stay, of course the night go, daytime stay outside the trees and under trees and places. So, I mean, if that violates the theory and the third stage, what happened, we calculated last time, third stage, the elasticity is negative. Elasticity is negative. Negative elasticity means, for example, let's say negative 2.5 label elasticity. For instance, you can see this 2.5 mean additional input increase 1%, let's say the labor increased by 1%, total decrease by, because there is negative mean, total output decreased by 2.5%. So in that way, no rational producer take the decision, the third run in this third stage. That's what we discussed. That using the elasticity, label elasticity. And if general understanding also, you can the third stage, what happened, the fixed input overutilized. Capacity is overreach, and if that happen, negatively affect to the total production. The other extreme, if you look at the stage 1, what happened, elasticity we calculate, elasticity is greater than 1, input elasticity, which means, for instance, if you, let's say, elasticity is 1 point positive, if input increased by 1%, that indicate that output increased by 1.5%. So in that case, the positive greater than 1 elasticity, users continue recruiting up to this point, and somewhere in the second stage, make the decision. Correct. For the second stage, we have to look at the allocative efficiency. Based on that, producers make the decision. Producers, of course, they don't know allocative efficiency, but so that is what happened. There they call maybe with the specialization or teamwork, and ultimately that happened. Now, so this is the stage, the diminishing marginal return apply. Diminishing marginal return apply. So the stage, the producers economically efficient, allocate resource efficiently to in that. The resource allocation also efficient, exact amount. For example, let's say here 10 labor, here 22 labor. Fix here the resource allocation also, allocative efficiency also, exact amount of labor recruitment we can find. So those are the things basically what we discussed last time. And these 3 stages, and what happened in these 3 stages. Now, in this, all about, you can see the efficiency and inefficiency is last, as we discussed, this inefficiency or efficiency is not matter of the addressing firm level. For example, underperformance equation I took with the motivation, skills and resources. Providing those things not enough, if we have to address the inefficiency situation in a firm. So that's the external the business environment, because this is related to internal business environment. So that external business environment also important, this part also important. So there the politicians and policymakers play a bigger role, and that's what we expect. But if you really look at the general public also play a bigger role, because the mindset is very important to them. Since this about the policy making, I have a small video, maybe sometime back you already watched it, or maybe I also saw you. So to understand how the policymakers think of this. So if before I saw that video, if any questions, any clarification? Any clarification? Okay. Look like no clarification. And then this video you can look at and you can see how this important point, even when you address efficiency and economic development, though this not directly related to the production theory, this may be something.
But we may be small, we still need stabilizers. And especially we need stabilizers in two areas: protecting our reserves and safeguarding the integrity of our public service. Why do I say this? Because these are two critical elements that give us safety, security, assurance, and resources for the future. It's taken us decades to build up our foreign reserves. They are our oil in the ground. If you don't have a second key, and you happen to have a generous or profligate government, then one government can spend it all and bring you back to zero. Elections will become auctions, where the parties compete to be more generous than the other, offering what it can do to voters by raiding the bank, as happens in countries much richer than us. You look at Australia, when 10 years ago, under basically a conservative government, they built up a significant amount of reserves or surpluses. They set up pension fund for the future, and they said this is our sovereign wealth fund, and this is to make sure that in future you'll be provided for state pensions and so on. But then came elections, and both parties, whether in government or out of government, because of the dynamic of the situation, they had no choice. One side offers something, the other side offers more, and back and forth. It's an auction. Today, the funds for the future have disappeared. The country is in deficit. The commodities boom is over. The budgets cannot be settled. They have to cut back spending. It's extremely contentious. We are back where they were, all within 10 years. It can happen to Australia with all that wealth and resources. Think what can happen if it's Singapore. That's money. What about people? The whole of our excellence in government, competence, the performance of the country depends on the integrity and the ability of the individuals in the key posts in the public service. Judges, central bankers, the accountant general, the commissioner of police, the people who head our stat boards, who sit on our stat board, key stat boards, the people who manage our reserves. Once corrupt persons get into key positions, that's the end. It's not only the end because they take money and help themselves, because you can stop that and put them in jail. It's the end because they subvert and corrupt the system and make it impossible to root out the cancer, which then becomes entrenched throughout the system. The system is permanently broken. You look at other countries. President SBY, President Yudhoyono of Indonesia, used to lament publicly about the problem he had with what he called the judicial mafia. He doesn't mean the mafia on the streets. He means judges whom he could not trust for their integrity because they had become corrupt and they had become part of the problem. You look at other countries where the police are in cahoots with the crooks. And if you have a problem, you're not sure whether you should go to the police station or run away from the police station. Or you look at countries where those responsible for safeguarding state assets instead raid the bank. As the Malay proverb goes, pagar makan padi. You are the hedge, but you are eating the rice, which you are supposed to protect. To prevent this, or at least to make this harder, this system needs a second key. And the challenge is for us how to ensure this second key strengthens and stabilizes our system of government.
So this, this is important to address this external environment. One of the things is the public sector efficiency and how that corrupt. So of course this happened, this speech sometime back, long time back. If still relevant here, I mean, if he talk right now, this most probably take best example from Sri Lanka. So that everyone here different level, because that's become a part of the life and culture. So starting those kind of corruption, and though we blame politicians, I hope everyone, I think some level of corruption here. And so that is very important when you talk about the production. Individual producers, they are efficient. They try to work in efficiently. The system, something like that. And go back to the slide. Again, this is the point what we discussed in the short run. And the short run, the decision is taken in the second stage. They apply law of diminishing the marginal return. So not the third stage, not the first stage. Producers take decision. So this is about the optimization given and the technical and economic efficiencies there. So ultimately, for example, let's say the labor unit in the short run and the given amount of capital and the total output. So we can estimate, we can measure the short run optimal allocation of labor. They happen the most profitable option, marginal MRP equal MLC point. So this is the short run situation. This is the condition, the short run. And the marginal here, MLSC, the marginal labor cost equal marginal revenue. So this is the market structure. Also, when you look at later on, also you can consider the MR equal MC, but it is quite similar point. With this condition satisfied, the producers short run take the decision, and that point is about the optimal factor productivity point. When you come to the long run, to understand the long run, we have to understand, or we have to learn three instruments. The one is ISO quant curve, the production side, ISO product, or ISO quant curve. One is. The other one is we have to understand the cost side, ISO cost curve. ISO cost curve. So as we try to understand basically these two instruments, then try to understand, try to study the long-term equilibrium or long-term optimal point. Now here, if you remember, this chart, this table matrix I show you before, there you can see the long-term situation, even the situation like that, for example, 52. 52 can be produced using different combination of input, like point A, point B, point C, point D, likewise. And also 73 also like that. The 64 also like that. All the numbers may be different, not one single the combination. That is the point also. If only one single combination reach the technical efficiency, no issue. But here, not like that. So there are many combinations which has shown the technical efficiency. All the values here are technically efficient. Then the producers looking for the economic efficiency, then we have to incorporate here allocative efficiency. So those line what we saw, same amount of production source, this line what we call isoquant line. That is very important to understand this point. Isoquant curve. So in other words, maybe we use the isoproduct curve for that. Same amount of production given different amount of inputs. So that's why we call isoquant or isoproduct curve. Different level time. Now here you can see the single out one isoquant curve. Usually is negative slope. Why? If you remember when I discussed short term situation, producers in the decision in the second stage, this stage, apply law of diminishing return. That law of diminishing return reflect here isoquant curve also. That's why it's always negative. We don't take the positives. Usually it's about the substitute one input the other, shows this isoquant curve. Now look at here how to get the isoquant curve, different combination. For example, K and L with the K40, L5, you can see the point A. It drop down half, the other labor become 12, B point like that. The moving along the independent isoquant curve. Now this is important to understand also, though it's a negative slope, there are different shapes of isoquant curve. If two goods are substitute, for example, maybe some of you think there's sugar, and similar perfectly substitute things you can find, and the citrus syrup. And also the without one, the other one also useless situation also there, that what we call complementary. Inputs are complementary. Without one, the useless. So that kind of situation in perfect complement situation, isoquant curve L shape, perfect substitute is a straight line and the same slope. So those two extreme cases there, normally we take this shape isoquant curve goods are imperfect substitution. But there, there are some goods perfectly substitutes and also perfect complementary also. But here, continuously I use the imperfect substitution where the isoquant curve convex to the origin. So that negative side, you can see the slope is the negative. So that reflects the law of diminishing return. Now, one of the most important thing is to understand this isoquant curve. One of the most important things to understand isoquant curve, the slope of it. That slope we call MRTS, the marginal rate of technical substitution. MRTS, about the substitution. To increase one, you have to get rid of the other, reduce the other. So that substitution we call the slope of the isoquant curve. We call it the marginal rate of technical substitution. Now, to see the given graph and how to measure the marginal, this amount divided by this, you can get the marginal rate of technical substitution. It has to be MRTS. Here also MRTS. So here you can see the change of 2. Here 1 divided by 1 is 2. That's the. And also you can see when the further down, this amount decreased. Look at here. J and K point, if you measure, MRTS is equal to 1. MRTS is equal. Further down, if you can see, like here, 2, 1, half, likewise, decrease in this direction. Decrease in this direction. So that shows the law of diminishing marginal substitution. Law of diminishing. That's why decreasing further down. Now, something what we try to understand right now. One is how to measure this MRTS. Otherwise, one is how to look at the diminishing the marginal, the law of diminishing marginal return. Now here, look at the table what we saw before. Inside 52 is the production. There you can measure MRTS here, different places. Now, let's say you have a production function. It's very important to understand in the exam. Where you get maybe 8 marks for this. Let's say the production function 3 L 2 K2 is production function. What you have to do, find the MRTS. And after that, so let's say we have a isoquant curve. Different places, point A, for example, point B, like point C, different places. Calculate the MRTS and see the downward always decreasing. Let's say here 10. Here, let's say 1. Let's say here 6. Here, let's say 3. 5. Let's say here 10. Now, ABC, all the ABC, calculate the MRTS. Now we know MRTS, how to get it. And, so if this is the production function, how to get it, the MRTS, if you differentiate the production function, you will get L plus and differentiate with respect K also we have to do. Like, so this is the same amount of production, one isoquant, for example, let's say 52. For total differentiation, that's a change of output, it always becomes 0 because the same amount of output. With this, you can see before that this part is the marginal product of labor. This part is the marginal product of capital. Marginal product of labor and marginal product of capital. Now you can see from this equation number 1, you can get minus BK divided by DL equal FL. FL means the marginal product of labor divided by FK, the marginal product of capital. So what we have to do from this particular example, I gave the Q equal 3L power K2 power. Find the MRPS. Before that, we have to find the MRPS equal marginal product of labor divided by the marginal product of capital. So then find and the ABC, all the places to find value. I'll give you 10 minutes. So in the 10 minutes, I want to see your figures. Right. Thank you, sir. So this group attendance is very poor, right? This today is only. Right. This is about the quant curve. We saw that the slope of the quant curve is MR is the marginal rate of technical substitution. And now we have to look at the optimal combination of input or optimal point. The optimal combination, optimal point. Now here, let's say one ISO quant curve, label may be 52, the production, different combination. Like we explained or we discussed before, along this curve, any point, producers are technically efficient. So to get the economically efficient point, we have to look at the evacuate efficiency. Of course, we need the support of the isocost curve. So the same chart we can do because this side A, this is L. So about the budget to produce or to buy capital and labor, the budget allocation. So we usually come the constant, right? The slope here is called W divided by K, input price ratio. Input price ratio. Here slope MRPS. So slope of the isoquant curve equal to slope of the isocost curve, which means MRPS equal the input price ratio. There we decide the first order condition for optimization or economic efficiency. Optimization. So what happened if the isocost curve also peaks here? At this point it happened, point E, that happened. Point E, you can see slope of the both curves equal. Then we reach this the first order condition, the optimal condition. Now, look at here, with that we can find the optimal amount of labor and the capital recruit to produce 52. Now let's say we have the previous production function. I'll take 3. I don't know it's a work or not. We can see TL K2. It's the production function and the isocost curve we can do. Let's say the W wage rate is $4. The capital rate is, let's say, $5. $5. Now with that, the additional information, let's say you have allocated budget for this. The total cost, let's say $100. With this price-related, cost-related thing, we can develop ISO cost line. So later on, I will discuss more about the ISO cost line. What happened like budget line in the consumer theory, WL, RK equals C. With that, you can rearrange this one. It come in C divided by R minus W divided by R. Now you can see this is the ISO cost curve, and it shows you the allocated efficiency. So there you can see the slope here. This becomes the second order condition. Now, what I have to do, maybe I'll stop this point also. Next week, you can bring this value and apply the first order condition. For that, you have to find MRPS, WR, you know, and use the second order condition again after apply the first and plug into second one. Find the how many units of labors you recruit the optimal point, how many units of capital you recruit the optimal point. So when you recruit this amount, Those are the point, the optimal combination of input to produce 52. And any other point, for example, if you look at the somewhere here, let's say the budget line goes like that. Any other point, something like the point A, is not economically efficient. So you can see the technically efficient, but with allocative efficiency, you can bring down and you can settle point E. These both not happening. Even the one happened, the other one not happening at the point A. So I'll stop this point a little bit early. So since yesterday Saturday class also I took this point, and next week I will continue. I will show you how to get this one. Like consumer theory, we discussed the Lagrangian approach. This is the direct method, like we did the consumer theory. First order condition, MRTS equal WR. This is the first order condition. The second sufficient condition has to be the second equation WL, that's the isocost curve. With these two together, you can find those values. So starting this condition. So next time I will show you how to use this one, the Lagrangian approach, and some other things, and most probably next week or another 2 weeks, I'll finish the theory of production. So after that, again, we will do a maybe 1 hour or 45 minutes multiple choice question assignment, so not assignment, test for the midterm evaluation. If you have any questions, please let me know right now. Since very few today also, I better stop right now. And so we will see you next week. Any questions? Okay, look at no questions, then yeah, somebody send me a message. Let's see. Okay, yeah, no questions. And thank you very much. And those who comes, and I hope next week also everybody will come. Otherwise, so this is kind of a halfway question. Like half of the people must come. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye. Thank you.